Hi there, welcome to Island Fly Tarot. Oh, wait, that's my other channel. Welcome to Tarot Land Soap Opera. On this channel, we always do 2 rows. And so I'm going to do a reading for Leo energy. And the top row I'm going to refer to as more like a high vibrational, yeah, no, now if I even said Leo, but hopefully Leo is what I said, because that's the reading that we're doing. A more high vibrational Leo energy. The bottom row can be a more worldly, shadowy Leo energy. Within ourself, we have free will. We have to make decisions in our life. The bottom row can represent how we're influenced by our more worldly nature, but it can also be the past and our fears and our insecurities and other people in our life that we could be in friendship or relationship with that want us to keep living life the way we live life, because then we stay in relationship with them. But we might have people in our life who align with our more high vibrational nature, and some of those people we're not hanging out with, some of those people we could, and we have to decide what our truth is. The bottom row again can represent that we make decisions more out of our life, more driven and motivated by the world, or again, codependency or ego or immaturity or something. And the high vibe row is when we kind of look at life differently and we've kind of become enlightened to some truths. We don't look at life the same way we used to. We could have worked through some fears or insecurities or expanded our perception of ourselves and the world around us. And then, we just look at life differently. At all these different stages of our life, the way we used to view ourselves, the way we viewed others, what we believed was possible has been different at different ages and stages of our life. And kind of what we like to go invest our time, energy, and effort into at different stages in our life has been different. And, we can know a lot of people in the world, in our family, in our workplace, in our community, and we can all be different. And we all know we're different. And we know you're kind of motivated by that, and you're motivated by that, and you like this, and you like that, and you're this maturity level, and you're that maturity level. And, it doesn't matter because we know everybody's different. And it's like, hey, yeah, go enjoy your life. And they're like, yeah, you go enjoy your life. It's more of a problem when it's someone that we have been in a close relationship or friendship with, or a family member or something like that, that we kind of maybe had been on the same page, or we always wished we could be more on the same page. But, with some of those people in our life, we just kind of really view life kind of differently. And then, or at some point in time, we start to kind of look at life differently or view life differently or want to go do different things. And then we're kind of not in the same path anymore. And then that can be challenging. So it's kind of interesting down here. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the moon card. And the reason for the top row's reading is the hangman card. And they're both Pisces energy. And Pisces can have to do with, we all tap into Pisces energy, kind of has to do with our dreams and aspirations. And, the moon can maybe talk about that we have some things buried beneath the surface, or there's some lessons we haven't learned in life yet, regardless of if you could be older or younger than someone. Everyone has the free will to see the truth, is what the hangman talks about. Some people aren't willing to look at life from any other perspective. Some people aren't willing to look at life from anyone else's perspective. Some people could be hiding that they're quite kind of stubborn or prideful, and that's shadowy hangman and shadowy Leo. Some people kind of hide the fact that they could like to operate more from their pride and ego, which can just be their self-protective, defensive nature, or they really do kind of like to manipulate and control people to get them to do what they want. And, it can be confusing. We don't understand why some people are acting the way they act. We can't understand certain people's viewpoints, and especially the more stubborn we feel that they are. Why are you so unwilling to try to see this from anyone else's perspective and how maybe it affects them. And the truth is, some people don't care. They want it their way, you know? But let's go look at the bottom row. We have the Emperor, the Nine of Wands, the Three of Pentacles, and the Hierophant. Well, the Emperor can represent that whether people are male or female, they could like it being more about them. I have my way of viewing life. I have my way of living life. I have my way of doing things that I think is just and fair. And they could be defensive to working together with people more cooperatively. The Three of Pentacles is Capricorn energy, and shadowy Capricorn is the devil. In order to work together with people more cooperatively, we would have to work through the things that kind of make us defensive to working with people more cooperatively. And that takes work and effort just to work through those issues. And some people are like, I'd rather not work through those issues. I'm okay. I'll keep doing it the way I've been doing it. And then it's kind of like if other people kind of want to work with them, they can work with them. If they don't, maybe they don't really care. And again, it can be hiding that I would rather not work together with other people if it requires me to work with them more cooperatively. So the Three of Pentacles can be, have you learned how to work together with people more cooperatively? And some people haven't. And the Nine of Wands can be, it could be from past experiences of their own life that make them act that way. But some of them are just kind of immature and they're just more about themselves. Shadowy energy is being kind of more about ourself. And the Emperor I view as Aries energy, which Aries energy is about the self. We either grow and heal and mature ourselves, or we're just kind of more about ourselves and we indulge our more immature ways of being. And then those people are just looking for people who will stay stuck, is what the Hangman could talk about. Be stuck being in a relationship with them, feeling wounded because these people are kind of stubborn or prideful or something. But if the people they do get to have in relationship with them somehow, if those people are defensive to freeing themselves, because again, high vibe, Three of Pentacles is Capricorn, which is also earth sign energy about putting in work and effort. Shadowy Capricorn is the devil. I'm not going to stay continuing to invest in someone who doesn't want to be illuminated to the truth that they're bossy or controlling or prideful or egotistical or immature or hurtful or unkind. Until those people are willing to put in the work and effort to work through why they would keep staying in a friendship or relationship or indulging them in poor behavior and free themselves and stand up for their truth, because Taurus energy can talk about our philosophy of life. Well, this person has their philosophy of life that they defend. And if other people come along in their life and those people come along and say, hey, we should work together with people, with each other cooperatively and kind of move forward in life a little differently or be more in a relationship of some sort. Those people can be defensive to those people because, again, they have their philosophy of life and how they like to work together with people. And they might have had people before who kind of indulged them in their more immature, shadowy ways of being or manipulative. And they know that's how they like to operate in a relationship. If they meet someone who harnesses a more high vibrational Pisces, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Taurus, where there's someone who more is who they say they are, because the masculine figures can kind of represent how people are presenting themselves in the world. because we can all present ourselves in the world any way we want. And the feminine figures can talk about how we really think and feel. And shadowy people can try to present themselves as a more just, fair, balanced, stable, grounded, nurturing, loving person that you should employ, that you should work with, that you should go into business with, that you should become their friend, you should date them, you should marry them. But as you move forward in the relationship, you know, the high vibe people are trying to move the relationship forward, having hope and faith and belief in love and truth and justice and fairness. And they're trying to work with them cooperatively from love, trying to maintain balance in the Two of Pentacles in the relationship, being focused on moving forward in truth and love, and that love is to be just and fair. Some of the more high vibrational people have already been illuminated to that truth. And that's why they are the type of people they are. I want to be in just, fair, balanced, loving relationships. If I want to be in those type of relationships, I have learned these lessons in life that I need to temper my more worldly, egoic, immature, manipulative, prideful, stubborn nature and be in that energy myself if I want to be in relationships with people who are like that. You know, some people were enlightened to the truth. If that's the type of relationship I want, that's the type of person I have to be and align with that in my dualistic nature. Align, see the logic, the reason, the truth, the maturity, all those things about being a more just, fair, balanced, authentic, loving person, treating other people the way I like to be treated. And that's the high vibe people's philosophy of life. Have they been more immature and had lessons to learn? Yeah. Did they make poor decisions in their life at times? Yeah. It's part of the learning process. But some people have always been more motivated and inspired by love, but they still had the learning process just like everyone else in the world. But somewhere along the way, you know, who knows? Maybe some people are just born on a more narcissistic tinge where they always think it should be more about them, you know, and maybe they grew up with people who made it more about them, but they also could have grown up with people who kind of saw the truth about them and they also kind of like, oh my gosh, you know, this person's kind of immature and full of themselves. You know, well, we can only do so much with people that act like that, right? We can treat everyone with truth and love and be loving and encouraging people in their life. But, you know, people are going to be defensive to working with people who they think aren't being authentic. High vibe Leo, also represented by the sun, is that people seem to be being authentic. They're not in shadowy Leo energy and the moon card trying to create the illusion that they're a certain type of person, but your intuition kind of tells you, I think you're like wearing a false mask, or you're not being authentic, or I think you have ulterior purposes, that it might be more about you, or the ego, or the image, or the status of it, or the lust, or the greed, or whatever. But I don't know that you're really motivated and inspired by love. Some people are defensive. The Hierophant can represent kind of really walking the talk and acting with character and integrity. Some people like to be in jobs and friendships, but I kind of like to look and play the part. Like I might have knowledge, skill, education, might be in certain friendships groups or certain relationships with certain people, but it's kind of more like they just like how they benefit from situations, but they really don't want to put in work and effort and really kind of walk the talk. You know, it's kind of like, I'm good with the illusion And so long as everyone buys into the illusion that I might put in work and effort and work together with people more cooperatively and motivated and inspired within myself to put in work and effort, like I like this job or I really am invested kind of in this relationship. For some people, it's all about the illusion. And again, even like it can happen in friendships and relationships, it can happen in workplaces too. And the Hierophant can represent that. You know, if they hire people to come work for them, and if they're people who do like their job and are kind of motivated and inspired, and they're kind of loving and encouraging people to people who come work there, and they hire someone who could seem like they could have a lot of what they're looking for, credentials or status or presence or power or influence or something, they could hire someone like that. But then as time goes by, it's like, oh shit, I kind of feel stuck because, if people aren't, and Aries is fire sign energy, and the Nine of Wands is fire sign energy, you'd like to be working with people who are inspired within themselves to, it is their authentic way of being. I do like working together with people in a just and fair way. I do like my job and I am inspired to put in work and effort. Like, even if people aren't there, like, I don't need someone supervising me all the time. And the Hierophant would be a higher position than the Emperor. And that's why, there too, the Hierophant can be like the employer. And these are employees, you know? And it's just like, gee, other people could work here and I don't like have to watch out for them because they take responsibility within themselves out of feeling high vibe Leo energy, proud of themselves, of knowing they act with character and integrity. They intrinsically within themselves are motivated and inspired to do a good day's work and like their job, and things move forward with those people. And as you kind of contrast between different people, you kind of see who does do that and who doesn't do that. So, just like it can happen in friendships and relationships, there could be some people in the workplace that, could have some people in their life kind of becoming the Nine of Wands can be a little, talk about being defensive. The Page of Swords can be about being a little defensive. The Page of Swords is not harsh communication. It's just, I would like to keep working with you, but, it doesn't seem like things are moving forward. Like we've kind of gotten to a certain point and it stays right there. And again, kind of where things grow and mature over time, the Emperor would become a Hierophant. That you learn these lessons, just like in a relationship, you learn certain lessons and you kind of detach from an old way of living life and viewing life, just like you detach from being more 18 years old to become more like a 21-year-old. It's normal, expected kind of progression in a relationship of whatever sort, unless people hire people for a certain, or, if it's romantic, people generally give the impression I am willing to kind of grow and heal and mature myself and work with you cooperatively. And I know it's not just about me, that you have your dreams and aspirations too, and I have mine. And we will work cooperatively together to kind of create in the Ace of Swords something new that's unique to us. I could have been in a different job, a different friendship or relationship. I worked with those people and they were their own unique people. I was whatever age or stage of life I was at. We worked together in a certain way based on where we both were at that stage in life. And we worked together to create something that was uniquely ours. And generally, people know that when they go into the next job, friendship, or relationship, it's not like, Well, you'll hear people complain about that at a job, especially if someone new starts, where it's like, well, at my last job we did this, at my last job we did that. Well, it'd be one thing, if it's just explaining maybe why you did something, like, oh, that's kind of, I guess, the process was at the last job, but I'll make a note that you guys do it differently here, okay? Um, how annoying would that be if you got in a relationship with someone and they're like, well, my last girlfriend or my last boyfriend always did this, and be like, huh? It's like, maybe you still want to go be in a relationship with that last girlfriend or last boyfriend. If they're not in the picture anymore and you are looking to work somewhere else or be in a relationship with someone else, that old friendship or relationship or job, that's not in reality right now, right? And so are you going to, if you found some new people that seem to be just and fair and acting with character and integrity, and if you both feel that there's love there and it's aligned with your truth, well, there's going to other options that we could have been pursued. We pick up our investment in those, is what the Two of Pentacles can talk about. When I was in a certain relationship with someone at one point in time, that was when we had the opportunity to work through some of those issues. If we didn't, and then everybody kind of moves forward in life, you know, um, there's the possibility that other people are going to find other people that they equally have as good a relationship with or better, and do we, if that, if we're in a relationship that's aligned with our truth, then we would probably keep moving forward with that relationship. If there's something wrong in that new job, friendship, or relationship that we're like, wait a minute, I think there's something wrong here, or maybe this isn't my truth, or maybe really this isn't their truth, and maybe they're more defensive than I thought, maybe a little more secretive, maybe a little more bossy, maybe a little more immature, a little more emotionally manipulative, a little more stubborn, seem to kind of juggle the truth. Well, then I might consider letting those people move on, and I will take some time to consider within myself what my truth is, and you know what did I learn from that experience. um, Sometimes we can be going down the road of life, and the one kind of more aligned with our truth and who we are can be to go this way, right? But we might be defensive about believing in ourselves, or maybe we were younger and we were kind of defensive to getting in a more formal commitment, and maybe some other people did want to get in a more formal commitment, so we might go that way because, like, no, that's not the path I want to take yet, and some other people are ready to go on that journey. Well, everybody can go on their journey. I mean, in some examples both people could feel stuck, like, shit, I thought this was the right path, but again, kind of life's a mystery in the moon card. We don't really know how things are going to play out. And sometimes things don't work out the way we want, that we certainly might look back at some people that we had been in friendships and relationships with before, to think about, for one thing, why didn't I hang out with them more or stay in a relationship with them more? I don't want to go back and get in something when there was something about it that didn't work out with them, or I'm just kind of going back to something that I kind of already know maybe isn't aligned with my truth. But sometimes everybody could have just been a little more immature, whatever, had different ways of looking at life at different points in time. But it is possible that with some people we can get back on the same path if we think that those people were people who were more aligned with our truth. And if you're motivated and inspired by love, you could feel like they were people more motivated and inspired by love, maybe at different stages of your life, had different things you kind of wanted to invest your time, energy, and effort into. Some people were more focused on wanting to put more work and effort in their career than getting in focusing more on a relationship, and so then they kind of sacrifice relationships more for a career. It can be possible that some of those relationships could work out, but sometimes we can get out of one situation, we can communicate back with some other people, and we don't know. That's kind of the moon card. We're not illuminated to the truth. We don't know if they have looked at life differently than maybe they looked at life differently before. If they were some people who at one time seemed to be more defensive to being in a more committed relationship, say, is that still how they feel? If they were maybe a little more immature, have they grown up? Have they kind of tempered themselves and kind of gotten out of that phase of life and just kind of got more stable and grounded within themselves? So I think the high vibe people, because they less operate from being influenced by their pride and their ego, I don't want to always wonder, and I'm not so much in my ego about it. I'm willing to communicate with people to see, what they got to say, how they look at life now. Do they want to maybe rekindle a friendship or relationship, or just get to know each other again to see where we're at now? And then once we work through those issues, then we could make a decision. If some people communicated with some people and there could have been a conversation, but then the other people still seem to be defensive, well, we might not know why they're defensive necessarily, but just depending on how well you know them, it's like, well, maybe whatever the kind of things that kind of manipulated them in the past, or even with new people that you could meet. Because as people are moving forward in life, it's the pages again are just trying to get to know people. The more people that, just trying to show people I am willing to work together with you in a just and fair way. I'm not going to try to manipulate you or control you. And if they're people that you could run into just in your community, or in your neighborhood, on your block, or needless at work, wanting there to be kind of an easy flow, and so you could do that. And some people are going to work together with you more easily. Some people are going to be more defensive. You know, um, Needless, there might be some more of a defensiveness of how much kind of people interact if someone is more um, an employee and someone else maybe is in supervisor or management. For other people, we can know supervisors and managers. I mean, we're not asking for people to treat me like your best friend or become a bosom buddy. It's just to have flow. And some people are more able to balance that. And but it could always upset other people. But it's just to have a normal flow like you would with all of them, kind of equally. And but some people might be a little more defensive to it because of the position that they hold. Now, if you know some more shadowy people in the world, some of those people try to present themselves in the world maybe as a more, high vibe Leo, that they're not more egotistical or prideful or bossy or controlling or manipulative or defensive. They can try to present themselves as not being in shadowy energy, but some of them are, and so then when they meet someone who seems to be more authentically who they say they are. Like, I think you're kind of the real deal, where they know they're kind of wearing a false mask, and that, maybe they have these issues within themselves that they haven't worked through. They're going to, as you work with them, some you won't find out till later, but eventually you might find out that some people are more defensive and it's harder to work more cooperatively with them. Same way, like if you know someone in a friend group, or say you start dating someone, other people in the friend group or other people in that person's family, it can be harder to kind of work with them or interact with them in a way, because shadowy energy can be, again, where people are trying to create the illusion about the type of person they are. And shadowy energy can be, kind of jealous and envious. And when someone really is more free of things that manipulate them than the other people, that can kind of get them in their ego, like, well, why don't you seem to be as defensive as I'm defensive? Or you seem to have tempered your more immature nature and I haven't. How can you have? How did you free yourself from kind of letting your more immature egoic nature run your life, and to be more open, to be more authentic or vulnerable, to work more cooperatively with people when I haven't? But because it makes them defensive, some, instead of them working through what it is in their philosophy of life that makes them think and act and feel the way they do, to kind of try to wrap their brain around it, because the Nine of Wands is Sagittarius energy, about higher learning and philosophy, and kind of realize that other people aren't wearing a false mask. They do look at life differently, and that can be hard for other people to relate to, because they've maybe never looked at life from that perspective, and maybe weren't inspired to work through those things that manipulate them. And they could have grown up with people, and a lot of the people could be more, a little more superficial and shallow, and it's more about making a decision to keep defending your more worldly egoic view of life, getting in friendships and relationships with people so it looks good by worldly standards. And then, for some people that is their truth, that's the way they've been living their life, and it might be the way they live their life all their life, and they just, it's like, as if people who could be in the same family, live right next door to each other, be in a similar workplace doing the same type of job, but they look at life from completely different vantage points. And that is about free will and duality. Some people, the truth is, they are much more in favor of being more about themselves and the world and working with the world, and that's what you should do, and that's what you should make your life about. And they might be people who, over here we have fire and we have earth, and the reason it came out is because of Pisces, which is water sign energy. And again, it can be, I create the illusion that I'm more connected in with my emotional, hopeful, believing nature than maybe I really am. But I'm really more motivated and inspired to align with my more worldly view of life. Then other people, they operate from a foundation more of hope and faith and belief and love. They're just more balanced, where I have my worldly nature too and things that I want, but I am someone who is connected in with my emotions and my intuition, and I try to make more balanced decisions in my life, and I don't want to live a life of illusion, and I'm not as manipulated by the world or the ego or the image, or being more in my self-protective defensive nature. And some people are quite defensive to letting their more hopeful, believing, loving nature out to play. And if we get in some more, if we have more, the relationships where it is more mismatched, it can be very difficult to deal with each other because shadowy energy can be that they don't quite get the concept, maybe, of treating other people the way you like to be treated. They might kind of do a better job with people that they kind of more want to be in a relationship with. For some people, that could be they do a better job of it, say with their original family or brothers or sisters. And for other people, it could be the opposite. Well, you kind of don't indulge me more in my ego, and the people that are most important to me are the people I go out and hang out with. And if those people, I more defer to those people because shadowy energy can be, you only temper your ego nature or being more about yourself for how you can benefit from it. High vibe is, I just don't even view it as tempering my ego. The fact of the matter is, I'm not really operating from my worldly egoic nature anyway. I want to work together with people cooperatively from love. I enjoy it. It makes me, I think it's the best environment. We all do better in that environment. It's a win win for everybody. But a shadowy energy can be that no, someone is being more deferred to. And that's just the way they view life. And they could have a big fear of other people manipulating them because they know they try to manipulate people. And so even people who have this philosophy that, whoever seems to have more power or whatever that people want in a relationship, those people are the more deferred to people. And I want to be the more deferred to person. So for some of those kinds of people, even if they get in relationships with loving people, they're so afraid that the loving people will, if they were to be loving and authentic, that those people would use that to manipulate them. So probably because they've had people in their life who've done that before. And the sad thing is they're not really seeing kind of the difference between people. You know, what is the difference between some of the people you've known that were more bossy or controlling or manipulative? And what about the people you're in, some of the other people you're in relationship, to differentiate. And Pisces is about listening to your intuition. Who works with me more cooperatively from love? Who kind of created the illusion and in some ways could have had love for me? Because the Lover's card and the Devil card look alike, except one has an angel, one has a devil, and the one with the devil has chains and shackles on people. It's kind of a unhealthy, manipulative relationship dynamic. Who are the people in my life who do try to kind of use the love that I have for them, or the fact that I want to be in a relationship with them, or have a dream come into reality? Who are the people who try to use those things that I want or ways of being about myself to manipulate me? And who are the people who just seem to work together with me? And, it generally did stay pretty balanced and loving and willing to work together with people cooperatively. And it's to see the difference and quit letting your fear of being hurt keep you out of relationships with loving people because you're so afraid loving people will hurt you. And then some people, it's like almost more important. Sometimes some people get in relationship with people who they think don't really love and believe in themselves because that person, you're not going to go anywhere, right? And for some people, it's really this kind of irrational way, I can't relate to it, of the most important thing is that if I get in a relationship with someone, like I don't want them to leave, but Anybody can leave, but that is shadowy energy also of thinking I can control things. And if I pick certain people that are more codependent or more fearful, or even if someone were to get in a relationship, which other people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you're getting in a relationship with that person, male or female. Well, some people are like, well, for one, I'd be in a relationship. That could be important to some people. I just don't want to be single. Um, and I don't know that other people would want to get in a relationship with that person. And if I got in a relationship with them, it maybe would have the status and the image, is what these cards can kind of talk about. And that's really important to me. And since I don't think they could even leave to go somewhere else, and I don't think someone else would want to be in a relationship with them, I'll get in a relationship with them. Because if anybody's going to get out of it, they think it would probably be them that would have to get out of it. Like if they couldn't take it anymore. But I mean, that's kind of wild, right? For some people to think, well, I'll get in a relationship with that person for all these reasons that are kind of like, oh my gosh. And then feeling defensive and stuck in a relationship that because it has these things that they want, they'll stay in it. You also might have known some people that aren't very independent, because that's also high vibe energy. And again, people can present themselves, because believe me, people can be 56 years old and they're still codependent more on their friend group or their original family group to be the primary foundation in their life, instead of the people that they get in a romantic relationship with or marry or have children with. And then you get in a relationship with them and they're always kind of juggling, like, well, I'm still codependent on those people as my primary foundation, and so long as those people are okay with me kind of venturing out of the nest to be in a relationship with someone, it goes okay. But if at any time those other people who are the primary foundation of my life say, I don't know if I want you moving forward with those people anymore, for whatever reason they have, these people will be like, oh, sorry, no, I'm more, these people are the primary foundation of my life. And during the course of the friendship or the relationship, you could see that happening. And it's kind of like, wait a minute, especially if we're going to get married, or we did get married and we did create a family. I mean, I'm not trying to be manipulative or bossy or controlling, but shouldn't we be the primary foundation that you have committed to? Again, like these different, our family and our original family should always be important in our life, but I don't think to the extent that if those people say, well, we don't like that person, or you seem to look at life differently, we don't like that you're looking at life differently, it seems like you're kind of growing and maturing yourself differently than we are, and we keep living our life like this and we don't like it, you should come back here and do this. They'll be like, okay. And they'll go back because they just haven't freed themselves to be more independent and live their more authentic life and stand up for themselves and what they believe in. And so some people saw the truth of it, and probably that, along with other things, made them decide, yeah, no, I can't do this. And some of you could have just worked with some people or gotten a job where people presented themselves one way, and then you took the job and it's like, oh my gosh, that was just an illusion you created. You are all kinds of stubborn and prideful and immature, and I need to get out of here. So, because you could look at life so differently than some other people do, like you have a really hard time understanding their thinking, logic, and reasoning, and they have a hard time understanding your thinking, logic, and reasoning. Um, those people could just think that you're trying to manipulate them or control them, because that's how they try to get what they want, because they don't harness high vibe Leo energy. You did already offer truth and love to work things out and to try to see things from their perspective, but you wanted things to be just and fair, and you have a dream. That's like in your Page of Swords and your Ace of Swords. In all three of your air sign energies of Libra and Aquarius and Gemini, Gemini is your dualistic nature. You align with aligning and being more tipped in favor of having hope and faith and belief in love, but they're tipped more in favor of the world or themselves or their defensive nature. And so you offered truth and love in the situation to try to work it out, and they were defensive to that, either out of their fear or the fact that, well, that's really not my truth, and I really am more about these things of the world, and it could have been great to be in a relationship with you, but I just don't know if we would have the status or the money or the image or the whatever that I want. And I think I could go get in a relationship with someone else and I could have those things. And I am, free will. You have to make these decisions. And some people free willingly decided to not align with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And then they didn't want to stay in relationships with people that aligned with them more on their hopeful, believing nature. And they could have decided, I think I'll go try to work things out with someone else. And I think when we don't listen to our intuition and we're not taking action, truth, and love, and we're not maybe balanced within ourselves and we haven't been enlightened to some truths, we're going to go through some situations to try to get us to see the truth, And some of them right now could be doing it. Some people already did it. And they made a decision to try to get in a relationship with someone where they thought they wouldn't have to look at life any differently. But then they could have also gotten in relationships with other people who don't want to look at life any differently. And, it's like trying to find someone who's kind of like, well, that's different. I just want you to kind of look at things a little differently. And some of those people are like, well, but those other people wanted you to look at life differently and you wouldn't do it. I don't want to do it either. I was like, yeah, but I do want to be in a relationship with you. Well, those people wanted to be in a relationship with you. So everybody can have their stubbornness. And some of the people they go get in a relationship with could be more immature or more stubborn than they are. So it does have a little ring of that, what goes around comes around. Where, and then some people could have just gotten in relationships with other people trying to manipulate other people to keep them stuck. If you don't do things the way I want, look, I'm going to leave you back there. I'm going to go communicate with someone else and defend being in a relationship with someone else. You are trying to get me to look at life differently. I'm moving on with these people, and for some of those people, they were just creating an illusion. Trying to manipulate someone to get them to do it my way. And if those people would have maybe said, I'm willing to work it out with you, I want to reconcile, then some of those people would have done it because they were just using other people to create an illusion. But the problem with it, sometimes that maybe has worked for them, but with some people it didn't work and it won't work. Because other people have had enough life experience and there can come a time, this can be kind of some stuff people did, 15 to 25. But when you're older, you kind of expect that people have grown up and matured themselves. And we're not going to be playing games like that anymore. And thinking people have learned those lessons. But the thing is, some people have less life experience than some other people. And they really hadn't played those games with people. And maybe everybody has to kind of go through them. And if somebody didn't do it when they were younger and have that opportunity or something, it's still the thinking, logic, and reasoning, just like we could add some of that thinking, logic, and reasoning when we were younger. It's just that some of these people are older. They just didn't have that experience. And we all had the free will not to choose it, but you know, um, it's always an option, I guess. And some people are like, I've already been there and done that. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who chooses that as an option. If the truth is, it doesn't seem like we're on the same page, and if the truth is, you are more about it being more about you or more about these things of the world, I've kind of seen the truth about you, and that kind of what drives and motivates us is different. So then the high vibe people had to do this work within themselves to not want to repeat that pattern again, to be enlightened to the truth. What was I not seeing when I could have gotten in this relationship? And part of it could have been there could have been a part of me that knew, but I didn't want to listen to my intuition. And we've all got lessons to learn about listening to our intuition. And we all can think, oh no, God, I got this. I know. I see that they're bossy, or I see that they're defensive, or I see that they're immature. But love is the highest vibration of all, right? I'm going to go walk the talk of love, and I'm going to be loving and nurturing and supportive. And I'm sure they'll change. And God'd be like, I've been working with them all their life, and so have other people in their life. And this is where they're at right now. And this is where you're at right now. And you're not maybe being immature, defensive, or bossy, or immature, or whatever, to whatever degree they are. You could see the truth of that and realize that's, a bigger difference than you want to admit. Or you can go do that. You're going to learn lots of good lessons. And then you go thinking everybody's motivated and inspired by love. And, those people have come to the conclusion to live their life the way they live it because they did kind of the debate within themselves, or that really is, at whatever age they are, maxed out at their emotional maturity level. That is it. But we maybe don't want to see the truth of it. And as we probably learn more of these lessons and have gone through more life experiences, um, even if we do see people that it's like, oh wow, there's someone, but we might notice they have these certain traits or qualities about them that is kind of similar to some things we've already learned from some other people in our life. We've maybe learned to stand up for our more loving, balanced, enlightened nature, and now listening to our intuition. And there could be people in the world that are like, why isn't that person coming towards me to try to get more of it in a more involved relationship with me? It's like, because I can see you're kind of defensive, and I could see that maybe you're immature or kind of full of yourself, or seem to be more about the ego or the image, or seem like you're kind of wearing a false mask. And I want to be in a relationship with someone who's already worked through all that, who is more comfortable within themselves to be more authentically themselves, and has worked through some of their defensiveness or their immaturity or whatever, to be someone who seems to be able to work together with me where it's kind of more going with the flow. And sometimes people can use and think they can use, it's kind of the illusion. Well, if I look a certain way and I have a certain status or image or social clout or money or power, some of those people think they really don't have to grow up or mature themselves, because people are drawn to people having these certain traits, characteristics, attractive, charming, whatever. That I don't have to do that. There'll be people who want to get in a relationship with me, and it's like, yep, it won't be me though. Because I could know you in the community, I could know you at work, but my intuition tells me that there's something that isn't quite right. So, unless you want to illuminate more to me, to let me know or want to get to know me more, where, I'm going to listen to my intuition. And for one thing, if we're all in the friend category, we're all just being friends, and that's what it is. But some people could be used to people maybe taking more action towards them, like pursuing them. And it's like, I'm in no rush, because the more time I get to know you, the more I get to know you, right? Anyway, let's go up here. The high vibe people don't want to repeat this pattern, and there's always going to be people in the world that are attractive, charming, smart, bright, whatever, talented. That could be things that could draw and attract you to them. Well, I think one thing is you definitely learn to listen to your intuition. So, what is it that you had to work through? The Strength card, the Eight of Wands, the King of Wands, and the Hermit. So, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, and Virgo energy. Well, again, in our fire sign energy and our worldly egoic nature, there's a lot of things we can be attracted to and things we want to manifest in the world. But in the past, we could have turned our back on. The Virgo Hermit talks about, based on past life experience and lessons that we've learned, and also listening to our intuition about things that are hidden in the dark. We could have yeah, go wait. No, I'm attracted to this person, or I want to go do this, or this is like a great opportunity. Our intuition was given to us as a gift to help us navigate in this world. And how many times, again, did we go get in something or pursue something more when our intuition was maybe telling us there was something wrong with it, but maybe because we felt stuck, because we wanted to be in a friendship or relationship or get a job, we're meeting people, and it's one thing to get to know people. It's another thing to move forward in a more involved relationship with someone when you really haven't gotten to know them more, to know really more about what drives and motivates them, and wait until you know those things to make a decision. And then, but again, we could have gotten to know some people, and it's like, I don't care, I'm doing it anyway. God is like, okay, well, enjoy the ride, because, you know, it might not turn out the way you think. And so I think you had to get out of your ego. There could have been people that you, some people in your life you've already gotten out of relationships with, and you kind of wish those people, would be more maybe bold, brave, confident, less about their ego or image, or less about these things of the world. But it is what it is. And now that you know that some people are more defensive to love, are defensive to being more authentic, are more driven and motivated by it being about them or these things of the world, I just think you're not going to take action more out of your more worldly ego view of life. I've been there and I've done that. If people aren't working together with me in a more just, fair, authentic, and loving way, then, they can be in a relationship with whoever they want. But I already know I'll feel stuck in that kind of relationship. So unless someone is willing to be more authentic and illuminate the truth, speak their truth, and some people don't want to speak the truth, some people don't want to illuminate the truth, some people don't want to live their authentic life. Some people want to make their life more about these things or conforming to the world or having a certain status and image. It's like, well, enjoy, but um, you're doing work instead to be inspired to take action in your life based on your truth. And you found out your truth was different than some other people's truth. And out of not being aggressive, not being defensive, just kind of in how you live your life, that um, I'm willing to work together with people in a just and fair and loving way, but I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who thinks it's supposed to be more about them, or get in a relationship because I feel stuck, or just because I want to be in a relationship, because then you get in a relationship and you feel stuck too because you got yourself in something you shouldn't have gotten into to begin with, which is what some people could be dealing with right now. We can all want to be in friendship and relationship to make us feel better, but then you get in them and other people are happy you're in that energy because they are too. And then we can all want to stay in it for our comfort zone, our fear of leaving it. It's like, I don't want to get myself in something that I shouldn't have gotten into to begin with. So I'm going to keep taking action, staying focused on my truth, not take action more out of ego, see the truth of who is willing to work together with me in that way and who isn't, and get out of my ego about it. And the people who aren't, I pick up my investment in them and wish them peace. I've been illuminated to the truth. If you are motivated and inspired to work together with me in this way, and you are available and free and not in that kind of relationship with someone else, you probably would. But if you're already in a relationship with someone else, okay, maybe you didn't know that, accept the truth of that. I'm going to move on. And the people who at one time I could have thought were more high vibe, and I've come to see they're not, well, I've been illuminated to the truth of what really drives and motivates them, and their truth isn't my truth. So again, I get out of my ego about it to see that my dream can only come into reality with people who are on the same page as me. So my dream couldn't come into reality with some of those people anyway. And so let's go find out what God's got planned for us. And I'm going to move forward with the people in my life who do work together with me like that. I'm going to stand up and defend them. They are going to stand up and defend me. And we're all going to go on this journey of working together, no one trying to manipulate or control each other and feeling it should be more about them. And we're going to go on this journey together. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Leo energy that they might not see coming? The Four of Wands, the Empress, and the Death card. And the reason is because of the Six of Cups. Because you were inspired to not stay stuck. You wanted, the Six of Cups can talk about wanting to make peace with the past and accept what is. So you wanted to also, the sixes can talk about balance. You wanted to get balance within yourself emotionally. That something you had wanted to emotionally give birth to didn't happen. And it's kind of offering love to the situation. The Empress in Libra and Taurus energy can be in high vibe about love. Love is the answer. I'm going to offer love to myself and the situation, to accept that everybody has their dreams, what they think is just and fair, what makes them happy, what doesn't make them happy. God knows ultimately what I am wanting to manifest, what other people are wanting to manifest. And it's kind of trusting that God has your best interest at heart. Love has your best interest at heart. And that you can give birth. The death card can talk about death and transformation, like shedding an old layer of yourself, just like you did shedding being more of an 18-year-old to be a 21-year-old, and shedding a 21-year-old to be more like a 25-year-old. It was kind of a phase of life to learn some lessons to help you get more clear about what your truth is and wasn't, who is more on the same page as you, who isn't. You and the people in your life who are working together in this energy, you've worked through some issues of your past. You're giving birth to, you're going to that next stage of life. And while you're going to that next stage of life, when the truth sets us free, we look at life differently than we used to. Then we go to the next stage of life to face our fears and learn more lessons at that stage of life. And some other people aren't ready to move to that next stage of life because they haven't learned some of the lessons they needed to learn at this stage of life. And some people could stay, again, at a certain stage of life all their life. And they never learn some of those lessons. They never get more balance within themselves. They never learn how to love themselves. They never really learn how to love others because they have the free will to be defensive to just even connecting in with their more emotional nature. So all of this helps you detach emotionally from the past so that you can let it go and move forward in your life. And it will transform your life. You will come together as you take action in your truth and you quit investing more of your time, energy, and effort into people whose truth is, what they want to, how they want to live their life and stuff like that, is different. And you see the truth of it and accept the truth of it, that frees you up to work with people who are more on the same page as you. And that's when your life can really change because you're no longer battling with someone who wants to move forward in life differently than you. You're working with people who are on the same page as you. It flows easily because it's both or all of your truth. And the other people are going to, keep repeating a certain pattern until they get out of their defensiveness of about maybe freeing themselves from their ego or being more codependent or their fear, letting things manipulate them, until they're willing to see the truth of whatever they don't see the truth of right now or don't want to see the truth of. They're going to keep repeating a certain pattern. They might try to look like, no, look, I got in a new friendship, I got in a new job, I got in a new relationship. They haven't changed. You can get a new job, a new friendship, a new relationship, but other people who already know kind of these things about them and what manipulates them, it's just that the other people that they're getting in friendships and relationships or the job doesn't know. And with some of those people, they might be all more on the same page. And then that would be a relationship with people where, they can live their authentic truth at whatever stage and way of viewing life that they live it. And that if they're in relationships with people who are more on the same page as them, that would be a just and fair relationship. But trying to get people who they know have a different way of living life than them, because I think sometimes shadowy people try to get loving people to get in a relationship with them, but then they don't want to be loving authentically. I want to hide behind my ego, but I want to be in a relationship with loving and encouraging and supportive people, but I'm not really going to be that in turn to you. But this works for me, so I think this is just and fair. And eventually the loving people are like, but this isn't just and fair to me. Because you're more about how it benefits you and the ego and the image or the status or indulging yourself in it, but you're defensive to love and doing equal give and take in truth and love. So I'm not in a relationship with someone who is being authentic and loving. Someone who creates the illusion that they're loving, But that can be shadowy fire sign energy where isn't sex love? It's like, no, sex is sex. Love is different. And they're like, oh, well, I don't really want to connect in with my emotions. Like, so I wish you peace and love, and I hope you enjoy being in relationships with people who might use their emotions manipulatively in a relationship also. High vibe Scorpio. I don't want to be in relationships with people who use their emotions more manipulatively. I want to be in relationships with people who have freed themselves from things that manipulate them to be in a more authentic, deep, meaningful relationship. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Leo energy that they might not see coming? And I think you could be kind of the awakening card is kind of surprise in a way. That's how it's coming across right now. You might be kind of surprised about which people in your life. It could be some of the people from your past. It could be some of the people you grew up with. It could be some of the people you're currently working with. That you could be kind of surprised about the people who end up being more defensive to working with you more cooperatively and who is more willing to. And it just could kind of surprise you. But you definitely, as you live your truth, I'm not going to indulge poor behavior in myself and indulge other people in poor behavior. I'm going to keep standing up for my truth in love. But if people aren't working together with me in a just and fair and loving way, I'm going to keep my distance from them. And, I guess by standing up for your truth, you might kind of see who is too stubborn and prideful to temper their ego to work with you more cooperatively. It's like, well, okay, then you go enjoy your life with whoever and be the way you want to be. I'm okay with it. What's coming up for the people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Leo energy? The Hierophant. Why? Because of the Queen of Wands and the King of Wands. So, the King and Queen of Wands is a counterpart. We have the opportunity with some people, in any relationship we're in, we have the opportunity to work together with those people in a more just and fair way in high vibe Taurus energy, acting with character and integrity. And you could even just look at this as like a soulmate. And a soulmate can be your adult children, your brother, your sister, mom, dad, good friends, whatever, right? We all have that opportunity, but because some people are kind of more aligned in their fire sign energy, being more about conforming to the world or looking at life from a certain vantage point that maybe isn't so much about love. um, there's going to be other people in their life who are more high vibrational that at one time could have kind of been more imbalanced and have gotten more balanced within themselves. And those people are going to listen to their intuition, even though they could have been drawn and attracted to these people. It's kind of realizing that their philosophy of life is different and this person's philosophy of life is different, and kind of what drives and motivates them is different. And the more high vibrational people in their life are going to kind of distance themselves from them. And the people who kind of keep defending them and they in turn defend those people, it's because they do have this same philosophy of life that motivates and inspires them, which maybe isn't, it could be repeating old patterns like we don't want to ever step out of our comfort zone. That's scary. That's unknown territory. Let's keep doing this. But it stays kind of dead and stagnant where they're never giving birth to anything new. And other people are kind of ready to give birth to something new. And, you know, they'll probably end up I would say eventually in a relationship with someone who views life the way they view it. And if they're both kind of defensive to freeing themselves from their more being more inspired by the world or their ego or their defensive nature, then that's a match. And the other people, it's like mismatched puzzle pieces getting stuck together, and God shakes up the board periodically, trying to get people to listen to their intuition that this is kind of a mismatch. On one way, some people emotionally are more aligned with their ego, and that's what kind of drives the action that they take. But other people are more inspired by love, and that is what drives the action they take. So, again, we can have a lot of things in common with people, and we can have similar belief systems, similar entertainment things that we like to go do and like to go enjoy, and in a lot of ways of philosophies of life that we could have, of in a lot of things about what we think is just and fair could be the same. But at a core foundational level, what ultimately drives one person or some people in the world, maybe 50%, is more motivated and inspired to build a life from love and connected within themselves and loving themselves. And other people are like, nope, I'm more driven by my ego nature or my defensive nature or my worldly nature. And people who could have been a counterpart to them, it didn't work out. But the thing is, we will come into relationship with other people that are more aligned with us instead of opposite foundations, but we have a lot in common and there can be love there, is to be in a relationship with people where we operate from the same foundation. And then it's like really seeing the difference and the truth, and we can get in these more imbalanced, unhealthy relationships because we did have this growing and healing and maturing to do, and we could have each helped each other grow and heal and mature ourselves during certain phases of life. It's just that the high vibe people are more willing to listen to their intuition and don't want to live a life that is more about these things of the world, and the other people might be willing to sacrifice their own truth to have more of these things of the world. It's just more what your truth is. So there you go, Leo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.